Let me give you more reasons to follow the homie Sil for the latest news, scoops and moves he's about to reveal. From coffee talks to special brews, I'm out of burgers for meals. A cup of bourbon with that tea that's about to get spilled. Like, what's the latest word? Yo, Sil, we need to know. Tell us what you heard, yo, Sil, we need to know. The ins and outs, who's walking out, buying in, we need to know. Your thoughts on what's new, what you do to stream a hell of a show. Let's go, take out your pen and paper, sit down and take notes. Sil is the realest among imposters, scavenging cutthroats. So, what's the latest word? Yo, Sil, we need to know. Tell us what you heard, yo, Sil, we need to know. The ins and outs, who's walking out, buying in, we need to know. Your thoughts on what's new, what you do to stream a hell of a show. Let's go. One hell of a show, let's go. Between DC and Marvel, they both have a startle. Disney's moving finicky, let's not mention Star Wars. All these movie execs be drunk off their power, disconnected from the fans in the ivory towers. What's the latest word? Yo, Sil, we need to know. Tell us what you heard, yo, Sil, we need to know. The ins and outs, who's walking out, buying in, we need to know. Your thoughts on what's new, what you do to stream a hell of a show. Let's go. When they keep making the same mistake, that's what you call insanity. They can't even acknowledge their self-inflicted calamity. What's the latest word? Yo, Sil, we need to know. Tell us what you heard, yo, Sil, we need to know. The ins and outs, who's walking out, buying in, we need to know. Your thoughts on what's new, what you do to stream a hell of a show. Let's go. One hell of a show, let's go. Scoop Senator, coffee talks, also covering analytics, making his own reviews, cause it's always been the critics. They clout chasers, money driven, repeating the latest gimmick. Come over to Sil Nation where true vision is given. Listen, what's the latest word? Yo, Sil, we need to know. Tell us what you heard, yo, Sil, we need to know. The ins and outs, who's walking out, buying in, we need to know. Your thoughts on what's new, what you do to stream a hell of a show. Let's go. Let's not forget Mikey's son, always special to the crew. From day one when him and Sil got together for special brew. What's the latest word? Yo, Sil, we need to know. Tell us what you heard, yo, Sil, we need to know. The ins and outs, who's walking out, buying in, we need to know. Your thoughts on what's new, what you do to stream a hell of a show. Let's go. One hell of a show, let's go. I guess I'll finish on this note. When the niggas go flip mode, they turn gremlins, I'm gizmo. Come from my people, my kinfolk. For them I ride for and kill for. With this pistol I'm skillful. Shit can really escalate till it all goes abysmal. What's the latest word? Yo, Sil, we need to know. Tell us what you heard, yo, Sil, we need to know. The ins and outs, who's walking out, buying in, we need to know. Your thoughts on what's new, what you do to stream a hell of a show. I'm a watchman, forever vigilant, steady watching and listening. Disciplined, militant, killing these dudes that started visiting. What's the latest word? Yo, Sil, we need to know. Tell us what you heard, yo, Sil, we need to know. The ins and outs, who's walking out, buying in, we need to know. Your thoughts on what's new, what you do to stream a hell of a show. Let's go. One hell of a show, let's go. Let's go.
What's good? What's good? We are here with the Sylabdul podcast, the weekend edition. But really, this is a week-long coverage. When it's mostly notable DC stuff, we try to be live for that. Here to give you informative, objective, and dynamic analysis. The latest in CBM and geek news. This was Superman week. I've been doing streams pretty much every other day. Covering the launch of this film. We're going to talk about the box office projections, and then Monday is going to cap off. Monday morning coffee talk is going to cap off the week-long coverage, and because it's just about results. Much love to Sil Nation. It's just about results. That's all we're talking about. We can talk forecasts and things like that. I can give my opinion, but we try to focus on the results, whatever it may be. Resist the uninformed. I've been seeing some of the worst discourse in box office history this past week, like the past 2 weeks. During Jurassic World, it's been people don't understand how box office work, but this gives me opportunities. I get topics every week now because people don't understand how box office works. Or I may have to repeat stuff that I've said hundreds of times for the last 3 years. So that's what we're going to do today. Again, we're talking full spoilers of different points in the film, where just what I think about it, what y'all think about it. what we think is going to happen next overall. That's what we're going to touch on today, eventually. Let me adjust this here. Much love to the chat. Who we got in the chat here? I see Jovic. I didn't watch. Right. I didn't watch No Will I Watch It, so shoot what it's supposed to get. So I got to warn everyone else, Jovic. And shout out to Jovic being such a good sport. I see people losing their mind every day. And I think Jovic understands a core of my channel is DC fans. If you search my channel or name or whatever, it comes back to DC. So we're always, if it's a notable DC story, we're going to be live about it. And it's Superman. So whether it does good or not, we're going to talk about it. And Jovic's been, like I said, been a great sport. Not getting all emotional, not being delusional, because Jovic is a perfect example of Syl Nation embracing realities. I hate James Gunn and Warner Brothers in that too. Yeah. I try to allow my viewers to be like, hey, just embrace that you hate what you hate, and it's okay. But these numbers are going to do what it do because of the forecasts and the theater exhibitors that I've been connected with for a couple of years now. They kind of let me know box office information, thanks to the late great Mikey Sutton. So don't question my sources just because you're in your feelings. Don't do that. So I appreciate Jovic again understanding if it's successful or not. We talk facts, not what we want. Exactly. And so as we and I knew this film was going to be just a good divider of who's really rocking with real information and who just wants to run after the uninformed. And so I think it's doing its job, and I'm gonna have a lot of fun with these streams. And I guess let me kind of explain, because before we get to the spoilers and box office, this past week I did notice some of my evening streams were doing pretty well. So I was like, okay, it could be times where I pop up in the evening, Eastern Standard Time, my morning coffee talks, and then maybe some, afternoon weekends as well. But I can kind of mix up my start time now, with that. So that's what this week has kind of taught me overall. And I've been having a blast just talking about everything. I wanted to fail, but I'm not delusional. I appreciate Jovic. Be like Jovic. Don't be like idiots online. Agent 47. Finally saw Superman. It's messy, but very good. The two best Superman film. And we're going to get to, again, maybe some loose ends. One reveal in the film has a lot of people talking. And we're going to talk about it all today, man. What's up, Jarence, in the chat as well. Definitely smash the like. Make sure you still subscribe. We may be entering a new era of DC, whether people like it or not. We're going to be, if this film's projections holds, this is a new era of DC, for better or worse. And it looks like the audience overall has responded to this film. And that's all I go by when my data is, is the streets, are they looking for it or not? Garbage era maybe for some, but when you're making money and your word of mouth is where this film is at right now, you're going to have follow-ups. That's what it is. So before we get to the full spoilers, we got to address box office talk. We may have to educate a few people, or just got to be reminded of how these numbers work. Let's go. Box office battle. Box office battle, where we touch on the latest and notable box office numbers. And what's notable is what we just want to make notable. Superman has been the biggest story for the past year on multiple platforms for myself. In the beginning, people was like, no one cares about this film. No one's talking about it. I went outside around my corner and they weren't talking about Superman. So that means the whole world isn't talking about Superman. And I'm like, okay, that's not the best sample size, but I go off of data and analytics again with people that I've been connected with for a while. So I kind of trust that more than your local rinky dink theater. And the numbers are showing, okay, because people saying first the film wouldn't even be made. Then they're going to tax right off it. But what I understand again, there's a lane for that type of entertainment. If you find that entertaining, um, that's not what I'm here for to do. Rinky dink entertainment. We want to give information, and we want the information to stand. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. Is that these are the numbers that is again forecasts. Usually with these forecasts, again, people may forget streams that I did before. But we always say with these numbers, it starts off overinflated. It comes back down to earth by the time the film comes out. So we don't need any lazy narratives. Okay. This is what it's doing, and we're going to dig into it a little bit more. Now, Man of Steel. Yeah, this is their new era. I mean, I don't know what you think they're going to do if they make 120 with, I guess, quote unquote, the Superman that they want. Then they're going to take that and they're going to push this world forward. That's just we deal with reality here. So that's what it is. Now, it's saying it's looking up to be 122 million box office opening. James Gunn's DC films close to matching, as it says, an unadjusted domestic opening, Zack Snyder's Man of Steel. I mean, what do they learn from this? On one end, a lot of us being Henry Cavill fans, Zack Snyder fans, we're like, hey, you already had this with Man of Steel. But Warner Bros. Is saying, hey, we came out with a reboot with the Superman that we wanted, quote unquote, and we got the money, the critics, and the audience. That's what they're looking at. The math that everyone wants to do, inflation and stuff like that. I don't know what you think that's going to do to affect their decisions. They feel like they pulled off the Triple Crown with this. All right, now we'll see the full run in just a moment. Now, one thing I do want to bring up, when you have, if this holds, this is still a projection, this is still a forecast until the final numbers are cemented Monday morning. That's for the weekend. That's all we do is deal with forecasting and projections. So 122, it can end up being 125. It can end up being 120. We're going to find out when the weekend's up. But word of mouth is a huge thing when it comes to films. Yeah, I just explained that. I don't know. Yeah. Yeah. We just explained as far as you got the 120 opening plus audience and critical success. That's the Triple Crown from. That's not a hard concept to understand. But the big thing with film is word of mouth. And I see a lot of people still don't understand what cinema score reflects. Cinema score doesn't just reflect, oh, you get an A, so you're going to get $1 billion. That's not what cinema score is. That's not even what audience Rotten Tomato is. Cinema score and audience word of mouth, Rotten Tomatoes, that's what it represents, word of mouth. Will this film have legs or not? Or how high will the legs be? How will this be gauged? With this film having an A- cinema score, it's saying pretty good audience reactions. We showed the Rotten Tomatoes numbers last stream. With a 95 plus. So the word of mouth is there. So if you have a front loaded opening, which I've been saying for 3 years now, just people hear what they want to hear for their agenda. That's why we're resisting the uninformed. This is plain English we do over here. 120 million opening, and you have the legs. That's telling you this film, if I bring the article back up, this film is going to have a pretty good hold and good word of mouth because it has a front loaded opening and the word of mouth. Now, someone threw up an example online. I saw a few people throw this up saying, hey, wait a minute. Cinema Score, Elio, which a lot of people, I've seen a lot of good word of mouth actually with this film, Elio, animated film. I haven't seen it yet. Heard a lot about it though. They said, well, hey, this wrecks the entire Cinema Score narrative because this has an A, right? And what's the box office on this? I wish I had a seamless transition, but it's not giving me that today. Shout out to StreamYard. Elio, which came out a month ago, about 3-4 weeks ago, only made 100 million. A cinema score is a flaw. So I've been covering this for as far as films, like hardcore data with theater exhibitors. The cinema score means nothing, right? Well, no, I just gave you the example. That Elio's only made $100 million, but was it front loaded? Because the formula has remained the same for years on this platform. If you want to ignore parts of the formula, I don't know what to tell you. Elio opened up to 20 million. It did not have the brand recognition that Superman's had, the pre-sales, the name recognition of James Gunn, this huge marketing campaign. So it comes out 20 million. Only a few people knew about it. And it's making about what I guess a low budget. I didn't even look up how much the marketing the production cost of this is. It's a low budget animated film. So Cinema Score, yeah, people are going to talk about it. If you don't have a front loaded opening, it doesn't mean you get an A Cinema Score and you just make $1 billion now. No. You got to take in the brand, the pre-sale activity, and everything. And it wasn't low budget, so it's probably a loss. I don't know what the point was with that. So A Cinema Score doesn't just say, oh, you're going to make a lot of money. You got to have that front-loaded opening for Cinema Score to even matter, for word of mouth. That's for every film in the history of films. So I really don't understand how people don't understand how that works. But anyway, it really don't matter what their budget is, though, to be quite honest. You heard about Elio 3 years ago? $200 million budget. They didn't do good marketing it. $20 million opening. Superman, if we go back to what I'm saying, I just had it. Here we go. $120 million opening. So I think we understand 120 is more than 20 million. So it's not a good comparison. Elio is not a good comparison as far as for Cinema Score because of the low opening. So this is what we have now with Superman. And what does this mean going forward overall with that? Let's go more into this article. Yeah, if it was $200 million for Elio, they definitely lost money. Yeah. Because opening up with 20 million, that's not going to hold up well. And it hasn't held up well. Let's see here. Warner Brothers DC Studio Superman's keeping a red hot July box office humming with a 56.5 million opening day. That includes the Thursday previews. And saying it's on track for 122 million domestic opening. Now, I remember, what was this, a few weeks ago? People saying, oh, I think it's going to just make 60. But the projections that it's doing right now, Superman is doing pretty much what it's been projected to do. Even though, again, it came up inflated a month before the film came out, like all films did. it's settled down and it's doing about what's expected. It's kind of in line with Matt Reeves' Batman. So that's what we're seeing coming to fruition right now with this film, and with a front loaded opening and a good word of mouth, it's making its money. Now, it's saying here Matt Reeves' Batman, what that do, 133. So it's going to finish either matching Matt Reeves because it did better for his preview numbers than Matt Reeves' Batman, or just about the same. It may either finish similar or a tad behind. That's pretty much what we're seeing with this film. Now, another thing, and what's going to determine if these numbers really hold? Well, no, yeah, people say no. People, that's what I said. It's a lot of uninformed people. But people was like, oh, 60, it's gonna be just like the Flash. And it did that with its preview numbers, basically. And then you got Friday, Saturday, Sunday, for the film. We're gonna get to international because people don't seem to understand international numbers either, but we'll touch on that. So when the uninformed continue saying, oh, 60 million, and then like the exhibitors and forecasts that I talked to, they're like, no, it's tracking, to about what it's doing right now. I'm gonna go with the experts in the tracking and people that I talk to instead of just uninformed people. Right, that's kind of what we're doing overall with that. So let's get into okay. So right now the forecast 120. Let's go up to. Did it give the preview numbers again? Did I go past it? Oh, it's a different article. Let's go. Okay, here we go. 56.5 million opening day. That includes the Thursday and the Amazon screenings. 56.5 million. At this rate, I think Matt Reeves' Batman was like 55. So again, it's a tad ahead of that. So the Saturday and Sunday numbers are going to determine if this film is going to really hit that 120. So they woke up this morning, 56 million for James Gunn's Superman. To get to 120, you need about 65 million more in 2 days. So if you do 32 million Saturday, 32 million Sunday, you pretty much get your 120. Can it do that? I feel this film, and this is the speculation part. People love speculation online. I feel this film needs to get close as possible when those numbers come in for today, for Saturday. 40 million. They got to get as close as possible to 40 million. So 32 or higher, but you want it really more closer to 40 than down to 30. And then Sunday will, pretty much replicate, I think, what Saturday does. So we'll see. We'll see. But that's how the forecasting works with that. I guess let's jump over to the international. Yeah, that's the global total right now. Like when they woke up this morning and they're pretty much at 100 million global. So you're talking the Tuesday Amazon screenings, Thursday preview numbers, plus the global returns that they received. Because see, international box office, this is what people don't understand about international box office, is that it does take a minute to catch up as far as with the numbers overall. So right now, this film has already made $100 million before Saturday and Sunday numbers. Global. That's why some people think it can hit 250. This article says here 210. Now, another thing that people don't understand about box office, and especially, well, first off, again, this is something that's been said for 3 years. Especially when me and Mikey really started, digging into how box office works, and he connected me with a lot of people. And what's understood with this overall is that you got to make money domestically first. I think I've said that almost every stream And you have people saying, well, but international, no. You got to make money domestically first. That's that 120 number we just talked about. Now, international, what's going to determine if you're a success? Just one market? China? France? Like I said this weekend, we either going to understand this or we're just going to be uninformed. So this says here, gunning towards 210 million worldwide opening international box office. Let's dig into it. What's being reported here? Saturday morning. Again, that's that 96.5 million number that they said. That's the global number right now, right? Before Saturday. James Gunn directed Superman is expected to reach 210 globally for the weekend. This is slightly above where we had it before the weekend. Of course, this could shift with Saturday, Sunday. There are some areas where Superman's facing a challenge. Uh-oh. What country is going to hold this back from $1 billion? It says Asia is soft, for example, as far as the market, not the people from Asia. That wasn't written the best way. It shouldn't come as a surprise. We know that Korea is a depressed market, and Clark Kent was not expected to make an impact in China. But we do got some China numbers, I think, in here, and we'll talk about that. For the record, UK opened up 3.6 million, clear number one with that overall. So you got UK market. Again, we're talking global. Because all this stuff is in addition. All this is going into, when you say 210 million, so that people can understand this, 120 of that, 115 to 120 is expected domestically. So domestic versus the world, obviously the biggest piece of the pie is domestic. Now let's actually bring this home, because I do want people to understand, and this will give me a chance to kind of reflect back on the video where I really went into, again, this stuff I talked about for years, but that's fine. With it opening up to UK, we'll say 4 million. The comp for this film is not Elio. It's not. It's not. Matt Reeves' Batman is a good comparison for this film. Now, Matt Reeves' Batman. Now, again, this is the Friday number for UK. After Saturday, Sunday, Matt Reeves' Batman had about 17 million opening. This film, let's say if it replicates this, you're a tad behind Matt Reeves' Batman at about 12 or 13 million. No, I don't expect this film to hit $1 billion. No, I've said that. My number has been 700. It doesn't hit $1 billion unless it does. So when we're comping this to Matt Reeves' Batman, the domestic tracking for it is lining up pretty well with Matt Reeves' Batman. Globally, in some markets, it is either a little bit behind or maybe close to it. UK is starting up a little bit behind what Matt Reeves' Batman did. So that's one comp right there. Let's go to another market, because I woke up and everyone was international box office experts now. Now, Smurfs don't have a chance. Smurf is, I think, for next weekend, according to theater exhibitors and people that I've talked with, not just internet emotion, Smurfs probably get about 15 million next weekend. Superman, if it hits 120, it's going to make at least 60 next weekend. So it's going to easily beat the Smurfs. I'll bring up Smurfs again next week when they ultimately lose. So, yeah. And if this film makes 700 million, Adrian, yeah, that would be a success in-house. Online's never going to be satisfied. People online, what I've learned is film's discourse is just shot online. And it's not even worth the energy, to explain to people, and things like that, because they don't understand how numbers work. overall, or I don't know how box office works. But 700 million, yes, they will take it as a success. This wave of DC will continue, and they'll see what they get. See if they get with that. So, China, it says it noted 2.4 million through Friday, including sneak peeks. It's an uninspiring non-starter in the China market. The ultimate full run, they believe, is 11 million in China. Now, again, we're the comp of this film. Again, what we're saying, the comp is Matt Reeves' Batman. That's what Matt Reeves' Batman did in China. Well, actually, no, Batman's Batman did about 20 in China. So that's why I said domestically is lining up to Matt Reeves' Batman. Internationally, it is behind. That's why the number is what it was at top. See, the overall market of international. Let's see here. They put all these numbers together. So let's say it bombs in China overall. Well, there's other international markets that feeds into that 100 million international number. If people understand that, it could bomb in China all at once, but it can make its money in other international markets over that. So interesting. We'll see what that means overall. Let's go to the next market. Spain. They got 1 million. Let's see. What did Matt Reeves' Batman do in Spain? That didn't do that big in Spain either. It's on pace to do what Matt Reeves' Batman did in Spain. So again, all these numbers are feeding into that 100 million number. Someone mentioned, I'll just kind of address, I guess, what people I saw overnight. People say, "Oh, it's bombing in France. It's not doing well in France overall. It's DOA. It got about 2.5 million Friday in France. Matt Reeves' Batman. It's on pace to do what Matt Reeves' Batman did in France. So again, a lot of just uninformed people, just to be quite honest, with that overall. This is the number. And like I said, I lean on the exhibitors rather than people that just Google on the spot. This is pretty much what it is. This, like I said, this is the headline they wanted. Now the next headline will be when they submit these numbers Sunday, and we'll see what it does overall. All right, let's jump back here because we're gonna get to the spoiler talk now. I think it's clear what this film is about to do overall. Let's catch up with the chat here. Then we'll get to the spoilers. Just a few things in the film. I was like, oh, let's kind of talk out how that happened or what that leads to, or maybe something we didn't like in the film. And then that's the main thing we're gonna go to. Let me see what the comments saying here. Vlad, what's good in the chat? John, Jarence, let's see. Okay, we got some discourse here. Let's see. So Jurassic World, 3-day opening, 266. Yeah, so that was a front-loaded IP. I don't get how that's not understood. And it's going to have a 60% drop. Jurassic World is on pace to have a 60% drop this weekend. So, yeah. The Smurfs is going to score a stunning upset. Y'all wild with that. And I think people, they were probably kind of trolling, talking about the Smurfs thing and stuff like that. But with the word of mouth that Superman apparently has, it's going to have a pretty good hold this second weekend. Like I said, I think 60 million is a good floor for next week for Superman. I thought Chinese love the kaiju's. The Chinese box office has been pretty soft for like Minecraft and I think Lilo and Stitch as well. Inside Out 2, Moana 2. Been covering these films for a while now, and China really isn't that big emphasis like it used to be. You'll take the money, but I'm not expecting nothing big from China. I'm expecting for what the Batman just did. So if all that checks out, the film's is on the pace to do what Matt Reeves' Batman did, or a tad behind, I think. Says it has to make 700 million, or Snyder fans will never let them hear the end of it. Well, I'll say this because I was just on a stream with my friends, Pop Culture Minefield. I'm gonna hop over there at times as well. Longtime friends of the channel. Someone asked me about Snyder fans over there. There's good Snyder fans, and then there are delusional Snyder fans, right? And we're trying to focus on the reasonable ones. Anyone delusional is nothing you can tell them, and that's what any fandom. That's what any fandom. So, yes, full spoiler. That's on the screen. Yeah. Let's see. What are we confused? Yeah, this is front loaded. What's the confusion? Neo sevens. What's the confusion? This is front loaded. 120 million. Like Elio wasn't front loaded, so we understand 120 million is more than 20 million, right? It's pretty cut and dry. It's pretty cut and dry what I just said. Tone has to change at least by 30%. Superman Lois is a great example. Yeah, interesting. All right, so as far as the film itself, let's kind of jump into some spoilers and then again things that may not be lining up, maybe hinting towards something. Who knows? We'll see when we get all the final numbers in the film. Let's just start with the main thing. I think people are feeling something didn't land with the Jor-El message reveal, right? Again, we're talking full spoilers. So if you don't want to be spoiled, this is the time to jet. But in the film, there's a message from Jor-El and his wife, Laura. That message recording the Superman. Most of us that understand Superman's lore or just the TV shows, whatever, you always get that Jor-El sends a message. Yeah, the Jor-El thing. And we're all used to Jor-El being inspiring and saying, like with Russell Crowe, you could save them all. You could save them. But in this, Jor-El is like, yo, you could rule them all, Cal. It ain't about saving them. You could rule them all. And then in that message too, they was like, make a harem, as many wives as possible, spread that Kryptonian seed and take over Earth. Like what? That threw off a lot of people in this film. Probably understandably. But I guess the main thing, people are like, this ain't like the lore. This ain't what this supposed to be. But I thought in the I think My Adventures of Superman, I think they had that type of angle. But then also too in Smallville, Jor-El was like, F this planet, F these people. Like, I mean, that's what I got as far as with Smallville. So I wasn't too thrown off by this this type of message. The harem part really broke people. I think if you think about it, if he said, "Yo, just take over this world, son," and then it was like, "Oh, get a harem of women," that's probably when it went over the line for some people. What we got in the chat here? Crow Jor-El still unmatched. Diddy's one of the worst parts of the movie. Jor Diddy. But will he beat the case? Let's see. Jor-El said nothing wrong. He should have done that. Nothing wrong with a harem. Yeah, I thought, thanks, CeeLo, because I was spotty. I was like, I think My Adventure of Superman did something like that. But then I remember Smallville as well. Jor-El was like, man, I ain't worried about this Earth. You know, embrace your Kryptonian side. They've done it before, but it's not a good idea. Like, just go rule and have a bunch of women sing. Yeah, I don't know. Oh man, that was an interesting turn with that. Now, there's some debate still. People saying, "Well, was that a real message, or what? What happened with that?" In film, Mr. Terrific was like, "Hey, I trust the forensics people behind it, whatever he said." So I'm gonna lean towards Mr. Terrific that this message was real. Then by the end of the film, Superman does, he had those recorded messages, of Zor-El and his Kryptonian parents. and that was a soothing message for him throughout the film until this turn of events here, right? Then by the end of the film, the recorded messages was his Earth parents. So I think, that message, I think that was a real message. I don't think Lex manipulated. He just put it out there uh, overall. So that's my thoughts with that. With the Jor-El thing, I wasn't too bothered by, they kind of adjust the lore. Every iteration of Superman, my lifetime has did something different with the lore. So wasn't too worried about that overall. And I believe that message was real. So let's see. Let's go to the next thing I want to. Since I mentioned Mr. Terrific, let's bring up, if it lets me, Mr. Terrific. As I said in my non-spoiler and mild spoiler conversations, that Mr. Terrific, once you got to the second act, him and Metamorpho pretty much carried the film. Because the first act I thought had bad editing. It jumped you. You open this film, which I thought, as I said in the last video, uh, good opening, like exposition, 3 centuries, 3 decades, 3 years, 3 days. Like it was a nice little symmetric thing with three. Three is one of the divine numbers, and the Trinity is a thing, right? So I did like how I did that. And then it's like, boom, Crypto take me home, Fortress. He gets whooped by Ultraman. I'll talk about Ultraman in a moment. It kind of jumps you from that. It jumps you to the Daily Planet. It jumps you. They breaking into the fortress. Jumps you to the kaiju. It was like neck break speed in that first act. And I was just like, man, I'm like, y'all killing me here, man. And this is stuff we seen throughout the trailers. So I give them credit with that. They spoiled a lot in the trailers, but it was only the first act stuff. Because then once Superman turns himself in, I think it becomes a better movie. But like I said, part of the first act, the Clois, I'll probably talk about that in a moment. That was probably the best part of the first 45 minutes or so of a rough edited first act. And then you get to the second act. And then I think it's very strong. And Mr. Terrific is a very big part of the second and third act working, the story working. Because again, we're full spoilers here. Superman's locked up for a good amount of screen time in the middle of the film. So your supporting cast had to have carried this to the, to get you to that third act. Because then after that, I think Gunn does a good job actually with the third act. But Mr. Terrific As I mentioned the warehouse scene. He has this scene where Gunn was like, "I'm gonna make you look as cool as possible." That's what he sort of did with the Harley Quinn in the Suicide Squad, a film that I don't like, but the best part of that was the Harley Quinn scene. That's what he just did with Mr. Terrific, giving him the best scene, in the film. You see how the T spheres work; it protects its weapons. It does all kinds of stuff in it, right? So, and word is, according to reports out there, I heard about a Mr. Terrific project like a year ago, before Superman even filmed. They were planning for a Mr. Terrific, like I think Strange Tales type of spinoff. And now after this film, you got Mr. Terrific, you got and they said I think Jimmy Olsen. I guess notable side shout out, Jimmy Olsen actually was actually pretty good. I liked a few moments in the film where because he's supposed to be this ladies' man, and Miss Tessmacher, has a thing for Jimmy, but they made her like as dumb as rocks, but she actually ended up being smart, right? But but she was always saying like, Jimmy, I give you information, and can we be together? And Jimmy had those pregnant pauses, like, yeah, like that was I thought that was a nice touch to the character. So if they do a spinoff of Jimmy, you'll probably get more of the Daily Planet, because you didn't get enough Daily Planet. That's probably part of the stuff they cut out early in this film, because there is a longer cut. There's a more, I guess they call it, adult cut of this film, and all those tonal issues that people was talking about. It was that first act that they kind of, I think, stitched together. It was pretty jarring. We get to the point where Lex shoots somebody in the head. I was like, man, but that was very important for the metamorpho character. When he did that. Over that, it says most jokes you like CIA Jimmy Olsen better. Mr. Wood, give me an example, and anyone that feels this way, because again, on my platform, it's not about just saying what we hear on the internet. I like to have discussions about stuff. So, what jokes you feel didn't land? Just give me an example, and we could talk about it. Because a lot of general discussions for this film, for a lot of films, but for this film, it's like overboard. Okay, thank you, great. Garage door opener. Now, Mr. Wick, have you seen this film in theaters? That's the first question. I want to give rewind the times. What's good? I saw you over on Gary's channel, Pop Culture Minefield. If that garage door opening scene, if you feel like that didn't work, because I thought it was a weird thing to release before the film came out. I was like, okay, here's Gunn, with these long scenes trying to be funny. I'm gonna tell you, my two watchers. Now, again, this is just in my theaters. So this doesn't mean this is around the world, but my crowd, it was like older couples. These were like the boomers and older women. And then you had some kids, for crypto. As far as like that teenage to mid 20s Gen Z, not sure how they're going to react to this film, because this film has an audience already. Again, that's with the bros and boomers. That's dudes, comic book fans, and older fans, older women. Well, I don't know. Do younger women like love stories anymore? I don't know. We'll see. Because if Gen Z turns out for this film will make $1 billion easily. But I don't think they're going to really turn out hardcore. I think it's going to be the older crowd, and just comic fans, kids are going to make this film do the numbers that it's going to do. But that garage door opening scene, when I saw that little clip they released before the film came out, I was like, oh, eye roll. All right. And then when it happens in the film with the crowds that I'm talking about, I'm just sitting there. I'm just like, okay, this ain't going to play well, is it? And I'm just saying, people did laugh at it in theaters. So maybe I'm just the 1%, and like 99% of all the other theaters didn't laugh at that, but it got a laugh. It got a laugh. I'm trying to think of what joke actually fell short. And maybe in the chat, let me know, because I'm just gonna again just let you know my experience and what I saw in the theaters, and you let me know what you heard in the theaters as well. Because it actually got a laugh, and let me know like the type of crowd you had, because I had mostly older people. Both I went Tuesday evening and Thursday evening, so not a lot of school kids or nothing like that. I don't know, is school even going on right now? I don't know, summer school, but it got a chuckle out of the older crowds. I don't know how that quantifies. Using theaters, I don't think the crowd didn't react much to it. Okay. Because they reacted at mine, and I was surprised. I was like, "Oh, that got a laugh out of people." Okay, that's I don't know. That's it got a good cinema score, so I mean, I guess it didn't eye roll too hard. Yeah, I was mad about that crypto doing too much early. I was mad about that a couple months ago. And it's almost like they released that to get that out the way. So when you go to the film, you're like, okay, we know crypto, but then it pays off crypto later. So I was like, they kind of got away with that one, in my opinion. People laughing at theaters. So yeah, I guess it's just a mix. I don't think the jokes really deterred a lot of people. And that scene is one example of that, because I always go to this going into the film again. I thought the crypto stuff would annoy me. Crypto won me over by the end of the film. And then this part here,
I'm not messing around. I'm doing important stuff.
I was ready for that to be the biggest eye roll possible. But then, like, in context of the film, it's like the clip they put out early, they did it a disservice, because in film it actually flowed better. And I was like, what? They made that look worse than it really was. Let's see. Yeah, this is a James Gunn film though. So the James Gunn, you're gonna have that tone where he keeps breaking the levity when he gets a chance. We'll talk about Supergirl in a minute. I realize everything they accused Zack Snyder of, Gunn did it worse. Did he have some? He has some slow motion, I think, in there too, right? The mutant monkeys. Well, that was Gunn's meta. First off, if anyone's upset about the mutant monkeys, it's like 2 seconds, and then it's in the pocket universe, and it flashes to the monkeys. They're hashtagging, and yeah, I think that was a clear jab by Gunn to people online that's hating on him and things like that. But if people are like, "Oh, this film's terrible because the mutant monkeys," is literally just 1 second in the film. I'm sorry, y'all can't have that one. Y'all can't. You can't have that one. Yeah, mutant monkeys. Everything's terrible. It's like, bro. Now, I mean, yeah, that is his jab at his haters. That's what Gunn is saying in this film. It's a little meta joke that his haters are just mutant monkeys. Apparently, crazy. Mr. Terrific had the best scene in the film for a Superman movie. Mr. Terrific was cool, but Hawk Girl, get rid of her and the screaming. Yeah. So this is my thing with Hawk Girl, because I really didn't highlight her too much because she didn't really do too much for me in the film. But it's cool that Hawk Girl was there. She was there to kind of even out between Mr. Terrific and Guy Gardner. So the character, it was okay. The character was there. It just, she could have been anyone. You could have put any hero in Hawk Girl's, shoes, because you didn't go into her story at all. You really didn't go into any background. I'll talk about Guy Gardner in a moment too. You didn't go in the background of Mr. Terrific either. He just had a cool moment, and he's a good actor, and he was pivotal to the story. Like Mr. Terrific was, I mean, someone just said on the stream, He was like the fourth lead of the film. Hold on, let me send a message here. Oops. Okay. I got what about? I still got time. Okay. So, like I said, she could have just been anyone. Let's catch up what you're saying. Couldn't believe it was real. But yeah, it literally was like a blink and you miss it moment. But it showed the monkeys, then it kind of zoomed into the screen. It was like hashtag. I was like, wow. And then they paid off the whole super shit thing. Now Ultraman's not dead. All right, we're catching up to the chat. The scene, Lex was getting all emotional, then the dog ruined it. So like at the end when Lex was defeated, because again we're doing full spoilers today, y'all. And Lex, Superman's basically saying like, I'm human. This thing. There we go. And y'all feel that the dog undercut that final scene where Superman, he does his Superman speech. He's trying to actually inspire Lex. And Lex is like, I hate you. Like Lex is like, the online people that's just upset. This is actually from that scene. I think this is too. Yeah. So okay, sent. And you think that crypto ruined that moment for you? I don't think it was a slap in the face. I really don't. I actually don't agree with that. I don't like the Hawk Girl screech. Yeah, I didn't mind the end. Like I said, crypto paid off for me. And I'll get more into crypto in a moment. I got a crypto section I'm gonna touch on. But it was crypto before that. Crypto paid off, in my opinion, and that kind of topped it off, I guess, because like I said, my audiences, two audiences like crypto. Had a feeling the scene was longer, but WB forced Gunn to cut it. I don't know, man. I think it captured what he wanted. He was like the mutant monkeys, and you see them spreading hate. Like Lex was, doing his dialogue over that, and he was like, "This is how we're setting you up, Superman." And then it showed the hashtags. Now, I don't think they're mad at crypto. No, yeah, yeah. Lex and see in my non-spoiler and mild spoiler talk, the first thing I said was, this wasn't my favorite Lex. I mean, Nicholas Hoult, I think, is a brilliant actor. He didn't hurt the film. It's just I thought he was going to take over. That's what I thought. He was going to steal every scene he was in, and he didn't. So I was just left like, okay, Lex is Lex. But maybe people that came into here like really, pulling for Nicholas Hoult to do amazing, maybe you were underwhelmed like I was. I don't know. I just thought he was okay. Okay. Yeah, Lex and Superman Lois is pretty good. Yeah, I like that. I probably like that Lex on Superman and Lois better than Nicholas Hoult as well. Obviously, Jesse Eisenberg. Come on now, like that rooftop scene in BVS. Man, Eisenberg was spitting. He had Superman, groveling over pictures, man. Like, yeah, yeah. Did Superman kill? What were we talking about? What were we talking about? Did Superman kill? People that seen the film. When is Superman killed in the film? Now, first of all, Ultraman, he's going into the black hole. That's going to set up Bizarro World for comic readers. Because one thing I've learned too, a lot of people don't even know these concepts in the comic. Like Gunn kind of just did it right in your face, but they still didn't get it. Ultraman's not dead. Like I said, that's going to be Bizarro World. Now, to like a normal audience, it's like, oh, Ultraman just went to a black hole. He's dead. So I get it. But I don't think the general audience is having these types of conversations. It's people that supposed to know about the comics. So if it's people that's supposed to know about the comics, don't understand the Bizarro World and the black hole thing, then I don't know what to tell you. he's dead. Okay. This is the crowd we got. So let's go to because it's not even, I'm not even gonna try to convince people anymore. It's like, if you want to stand on that hill, go ahead at this point. Let's go to Guy Gardner. Exactly. Guy Gardner, my first watch, because like I said, watching this film, I was just like, okay, he's being a douche on purpose. I get it. He's kind of hamming it up, what's this dude's name again? It's not Nicholas Holt. What's his name? I forget his name that quick. That's terrible. Card denied. Nathan Fillion. Is a good performer. Okay. Nathan Fillion's a good performer, but first watch, I was just like, meh, with his Guy Gardner. And then he gets his moment in the third act, I thought. And then on second watch, that's for everything in this film. I already scored this on my Superman channel, my last stream. 3.5 out of 5 is my score for the film. After watching it twice, that's 7 of 10 for those who likes math overall. So I think it's an okay film. I don't think it's the most terrible Superman film ever. And I only can rank it against Superman films. This is just me personally. So it's not on Donner level. I don't think it's on Man of Steel level, but it's definitely not Superman 3, Superman 4, Superman. I think it's better than those films, but it's not as good as Donner films. So it's somewhere in the middle of Superman films. That's kind of like when you do your work assignment, you do just enough for a passing grade. I think that's what this film does. Things that I didn't like about it doesn't doom the film to me overall. That first act, I was ready to be like, hey, this film is going to be trash edited and everything. And like I said, second act really picked up, and I think it landed, and the audience score is there, right? So Guy Gardner, first watch is kind of like, okay. Then second watch, I was like, Nathan Fillion, he actually has some pretty good moments in this film. And he has, those one-liner moments. I did really like in the third act. The him and Lois scene was pretty funny, actually. And then the third act, he has this moment, right, where he goes to Baravia, wherever they're at in the end. And, he's like, I ain't Superman, but you got an upgrade, right? Pretty good moment. And then when Metamorpho joins the team, at first he's like, no, he can't join the Justice Gang. And Metamorpho's like, I like that name. And then Nathan Fillion, great timing. He's like, you're in, right? But that was funny. And, it was cool to see some constructs. We're going to see him in the Lantern series. So he's just okay. He's just an okay character in there. He stuck his markers in a few different points there. So he was okay. Let's see what we're saying in the chat about Guy Gardner. Let's see. Some people say it's some of the worst. All right, hold on. Let me highlight some of these. We got someone they love, Guy Gardner. Okay. And some of these characters too, I'm gonna have to hit up Carlos on the Superman channel. We're gonna go more in depth on some of this because after Monday in the box office, as long as there's no notable stories pertaining to DC, it's not gonna be a lot to talk about as far as live streams. unless some more news comes out. So we're gonna do more deeper dives on the Superman channel. Links in the description. So go check that out overall. And I got some of my viewers like Jovic who they hate all this Superman stuff, but as long as it gets out of the headlines, Jovic, I'm not going to do a stream about it. Right now, this is in the headlines. So, and again, I appreciate you being a good sport because I don't know, not everybody is. But terrible haircut for Guy Gardner. Let's see. Much of an a-hole and douche as he was in the and I think that's the angle, Justice League International angle. Gunn is taking pieces of everything, but the character is correct. One of the worst Green Lanterns, but one of the few that worked for this movie. It was probably the only one that could have worked in this film. It was this Guy Gardner. When he backhands the tanks, that was nice. And someone mentioned the middle finger thing and stuff. Let's see. Marie, your comments are great, but there are some odd takes on the movie in this chat. That's okay. Everyone can have their opinions. I mean, it either lands with some people or it doesn't. I know my first watch, I had a kind of a lower score in my head. And then second watch, it landed a little bit better because I was like, okay, I kind of know what I'm in now. That first watch was kind of like jarring. I was like, what's going on? And then it levels off. Second time, I'm like, okay, I'm ready for this terrible editing. And then I really saw where the editing was off in that first act. Because like I said, it's like you have the crypto, again, a great opening, great dialogue opening, 3 centuries, 3 decades, 3 years, 3 days, 3 hours. Great opening like that. Then boom, crypto take me home. You fight Ultraman. And I guess what I'll say with the Ultraman thing, I called it like Battleship. He was naming the coordinates, it felt like. But a lot of people was like, well, no, it was like pre-programmed moves for Ultraman. I was like, I get it. I felt like it was Battleship. That's all. That's all I thought with that. But you get right into that fight. Superman's losing because it's like Lex Luthor's fighting him. I don't know if people really got that. Like my second watch, I was like, okay, it's like Lex is the one fighting. He's just, programming someone to do it. He knew all his moves. He studied him. But it happens so fast, your first watch, you're like, it's jarring, right? That first watch is jarring. And that's why I think that A- is there, with that. But so you get to that first act, and like I said, second watch, it kind of levels off. But so I agree with you. It's my long-winded way of saying I agree with you. It's unfair to compare Man of Steel because there are 2 different versions of Superman. This one is Silver Age. Man of Steel seems to be golden in terms of tone. It's just it's 2 separate worlds we're dealing with. Like it really ain't no reason. I won't say no reason to compare. I think Man of Steel is a better film. So that's the comparison there. But as far as like, oh, this Superman does this, and then Donner Superman does this, just overall, I think it was a better overall. Man of Steel is a better overall film. But that doesn't make James Gunn Superman the worst film ever. It's 3.5 is pretty middle of the road overall, and then like I say, it has some enjoyable moments. 4 people walked out of my theater, and the film is still getting 120 million domestic, 100 million worldwide. So it's over 200 million worldwide. So those 4 people, I guess, are a drop in the bucket. Shout out to Pop Culture Minefield. I'm about to catch up with y'all some mornings. We're doing full spoilers. Full spoilers, Gary. Let's see. Got Superman character 10, Luther 10, Metamorpho 10. Rest of the cash, I don't care. Okay. Story 6. Cinematography 7. Oh no, so no, 7 for the I don't know what we're saying now. Pacing 4, emotions 4. So you're 7 to 10 overall. Okay, gotcha. Okay. We're gonna get to the, we're gonna get to the next character. I see Carlos in the chat. Hey, 4 people. Hey, 4 people times the world. That's a lot of people. I know he's gonna do that right now. So Guy Gardner, like I said, with little he had good moments. Nathan Fillion, good performer. Metamorpho. Let's talk about Metamorpho. As I mentioned in that second act, and it's about Superman's turning himself in. Again, a roughly edited first act. So I'm just like, what am I in store for? Like he's already turned himself in. Then the Metamorpho story. And then the moment where Lex shoots the guy, which I was like, man, it's like we getting dark here. Like this film, I want to see the adult cut. Like Lex shooting boys in the head and stuff. And so you had that, and that moment was needed though to turn Rex here, Metamorpho, to turn him. And they just call him the Element Man in the film because that's the comic name. Metamorpho, the Elemental Man. So he was the one having the kryptonite, and that turns his character. Some people said they was upset that he cried. I thought that was a very effective scene. I don't know. Let me know in the chat because people talk about crying. Like side note, Paul Kent, his character they said was mushy, was a big mush. That's what Ma kept calling him. He said Superman should have saved him. Man, how is he going to save him when it was kryptonite? This is what I'm saying. This is why you can't take a lot of people's comments seriously. Like, are we serious? Superman was being held down by kryptonite. How is he going to save that man? What are we talking about here? Like, So this is where we start ignoring your comments, right? This okay. I just want you to know the moment, like when I decided to start ignoring you. But Metamorpho was sitting there. And like I said, with the Podkent stuff, I didn't mind Podkent crying. I thought it was a very powerful moment. Superman was at his lowest, not lowest, was at a low, and he learned about his birth parents, that bad message, the world turning on him. So I thought that was a good moment for Podkent to raise his child up, the son that he raised. So that was an effective moment. I thought it was a very effective moment. And so with Metamorpho, that turned his character. And I actually liked that whole emotional outburst. He was like, man, I could have did something. I could have did something. I just stood there and let him get shot. That's what Metamorpho was saying. And that's what switches in that character. And it doesn't feel too fast. That's what I'm going to give credit. Because now we're in the second act. And this film kind of is at a good pace now. And so when this turn happens, it has to work, right? And it works seamlessly. And I really like where, he was like, okay, Superman, I'm going to take away the kryptonite, go save my boy. And then Superman needs time to recharge. So you set the power gauge for Superman and probably Supergirl as well, is that they're not just like untapped source of energy, which that's not actually a bad take. It gives you a chance where it's like, oh, Superman, this is like Justice League animated, right? This is what we're talking about. Everyone's saying, oh, this is like Superman animated series and stuff. I don't know about that. But Justice League animated, you can take Superman off the board for a day or two, or the New Frontier film. You could take out Superman for a day or two, then he'll come back. Because what we're used to Superman is just unlimited energy. So this was a different take, but again, it's like Justice League animated. But Metamorpho's like, you still look gross, right? So it's the Element Man. He's forming, he's naming like hydrogen, and he's putting this stuff. And I thought it was a pretty cool moment for Metamorpho, making this sun-like energy. The score comes in, Superman busts out of the glass and saves the boy. I will say that leads to my least favorite part of the film is them falling to that goopy goop stuff. It looked like Minecraft blocks leading you to this black hole. I thought that was the worst looking part of the film. I mean, people like that shot where Metamorpho is throwing out those tentacles and Superman's holding the baby and Crypto. That's a nice shot, but that entire sequence, I did not like. I did not like that. Oh, I'm trying to save the baby. See, I didn't like the baby shower stuff in The Flash. I thought that was a terrible scene. So the same thing with saving the baby and, we're going to fall into this goop. I thought that was a waste of time. It annoyed me both times watching that part. Least favorite part of the film. The CGI, I don't think looked good. Yeah, thank you. It was a little messy. Because it was cool. It was cool. The sun, Superman busts out, saves baby Joey. And then you just have this messy couple minutes. I'm just like, ugh. Like, let's get this going, overall with that. And then, like I said, at the end, Metamorpho has, his another payoff, helping the Justice Gang. We may need a Justice Gang spinoff, or will that be in the Mr. Terrific project, right? The Terrifics. You got pretty much the members of the Terrifics. You add Mr. Plastic Man. You got Metamorpho. If you add Plastic Man, you got Metamorpho and Mr. Terrific. You got half of the Terrifics right there. So we'll see. We'll see what to do. But I did like Metamorpho. And maybe he'll show up again on the Mr. Terrific spinoff. Let's catch up with the chat. We got other things we want to bring out about this film. Full spoilers. Let's see. Metamorpho had the best character arc. I thought it was an effective scene. Like I said, some of these moments, either they're going to land or they don't, or it's going to look corny or something. I think his landed. I think that turn landed. Let's see. You laughed at him? That's crazy. No, I don't think Superman's going to make $1 billion. Now, because I don't think we'll see when we get the Saturday numbers, and the Saturday numbers could drop while we're live here. We'll see if it drops in the next 20 minutes or so. Nothing new yet. Yeah, we'll see. But I don't think enough of, like I said, teenage and middle 20s, like Gen Z. I don't think they're all going to really show out for this film. Older audience, probably families, little kids like Crypto. And that's why I think 700 is a decent number if it does it. And that's a forecast. I don't know if people understand when we forecast numbers, 700 million is a forecast. I mean, it could be dynamic. It could change. Can't blame Superman. He found his dad was Jor Diddy. Jor Diddy. That may stick. We'll see. Let's see. They said, speaking of the $1 billion, because again, I don't think it's going to make $1 billion. But Blu-ray says it can certainly make $1 billion. People were cheering in my cinema. Word of mouth will be huge. Word of mouth is going to, like I said, it has the audience score. So the word of mouth will be there because it's a front loaded opening. Front loaded meaning it made a lot of money opening weekend. So your word of mouth can carry over your front loaded opening. That's what it does. Um, Meaning it's gonna probably be a decent hold next weekend. We'll see as it goes further with the film. $1 billion, I don't see it because again, that demographic, I'm not sure if it's gonna capture uh, overall capture the demographic of Gen Z. But that's my opinion. We can have opinions too. Yeah, I did realize that, but then again, it's because of Superman. Is it because it's Superman that he survived that anti-proton C? I guess. I still didn't like that sequence at all. That sequence, that was like Flash Speed Force level of like a baby shower level. I didn't like that sequence at all. That's wild. I pretty much like Metamorpho overall. Gen Z saw Deadpool Wolverine. Oh yeah, I mean they turned out for it. This is a different film. The Superman film, this ain't like a Deadpool Wolverine. You know what I'm saying? Um, this Superman film is attempting to be like a throwback, and like I said, older audiences, family audiences, children. You know, so I don't think that's a good comparison. Deadpool Wolverine. Mm, let's see. We're gonna go to another point in the film. Full spoilers. I think the Gunn and that team for Justice Gang will create Justice League International. Okay. Oh, and then they will leave. Some will leave and do JLA. Huh. We'll see in that scene with Lois going to the Justice Gang, the Hall of Justice. It's like a mural of like the JSA, uh, like up there towards the on the walls there. We don't have a clean shot of it yet, but it shows like the JSA of old and stuff like that, the Golden Age. Gunn's supposed to release a clear picture of that, so we'll see these different teams. But apparently, there was a JSA that predated them. Yeah, yeah. So we'll see. We'll see with that. Next moment, I think the part that again that saved the first act of this film was the Clois, the Clark and Lois and Corn Sweat did some of his best acting, I think, in this scene as well too. And Gunn gives that to you pretty quick. Like again, you have that fight with Ultraman. You know, where you have the beginning, the Fortress. Then you got the Ultraman fight. Then you go to Daily Planet, and then boom, you're into this interview scene, which I think is one of the best scenes in the film. And that's what saved the first act for me. That's really what saved the first act. And I love this, especially on second watch. First watch, I caught this, but especially second watch, I love when Corn Sweat got mad at the super shit thing. Like that was hilarious. That was actually a hilarious moment. And he played it well. They played really good off each other. Some people are complaining they didn't have enough scenes together. Well, yeah, you know, they're trying to get 10 years of content here. This was very strong. They again play off each other really well. Then they set up the whole relationship thing, which I think resonated, like I said, with older audiences. They like this relationship stuff more than younger Gen Zers. Just according to data. So I thought this played well, and then they got the send off at the end where they fly up, embracing and stuff. So the Chloe stuff, probably some of the best Chloe stuff we've ever seen, actually, with the few scenes we got, and looking forward to them playing opposite of each other. If these numbers hold up for the film, we're going to see this couple plenty much more with that. So we want to highlight the Chloe stuff. Let's look at the chat here. Busy getting licked by crypto rather than spending time. She was planning to break up with him. Yeah, at the beginning of the film, because she's like, I'm not, I knew this wasn't going to work. I'm not good at this relationship stuff. So they kind of seed that early. And then, she was, thinking about breaking up with him. And then, you have, again, the payoff at the end. So pretty good stuff. Okay, let's get to crypto. Like I said with crypto, that beginning, the 5-minute scene that they released a couple months ago, I was like, crypto is going to be on my last nerves this entire film. And it felt like it was starting out that way. I was like, oh man, like this is what crypto is going to do throughout the film. But I got to say, they paid it off at the end with the Ultraman scene. They paid it off at the end because like crypto's always breaking toys and stuff and tech, and then crypto shows up and Superman's like, get the toy, because that's how, and we understand this after seeing it, that's how Lex was controlling Ultraman. Lex had all these drones. And so he get all these different views of Superman, and he can enter in these fighting combinations. When you take out those drones, as Superman said, brain over brawn, Lex was thinking brain over brawn. And Superman's like, I got to get smarter here. This dude keeps whooping me. Like, so it made sense. Do we want to see Superman get beat up an entire film? No, I mean, that's not the imagery we wanted. But when Lex had the advantage with the drones and everything, he could control the fight every time. Superman didn't have a chance. And then when you take out those drones, that's when crypto came in. I thought that was the payoff. And again, in my first view, I would say Tuesday, that got a pretty good reaction from the audience when crypto comes in and breaks the drones. And the second watch, it was like a mid-level reaction, but it got a reaction out of, just out of my crowds. There's a small sample size with that. So that was interesting. Battlestar Galactica. Interesting. So let's get to the final thing, and then we'll get your last minute comments or questions. You can throw it in the chat. The last thing I want to highlight is Kara Zor-El. Shows up, but this is like a panel right out of Woman of Tomorrow. She comes in. Now, some people had issues. Calling her being disrespectful, they felt, to Kal-El. But I mean, she comes in and like the dialogue in this film, in this scene right here, straight up set up the Woman of Tomorrow story. He's like, oh, she likes to go hang out where it's red suns. Our metabolism, doesn't work the same under a red sun, so she can go there and get drunk. Like, boom, they've set it up completely. They're gonna do some kind of version of that story. The film they already shot. Was it Craig Gillespie? Already shot the film, coming out summer 2026. Again, they feel as long as these numbers hold for Superman, they feel they're gonna have a good summer this year and build up to next summer for DC Studios. So we'll see how that holds up. I will say as a side note, because that 120 number for Superman, now I won my side bet because I was, because of again the forecast and people that I talked to, they were saying like how this was tracking, that this was real tracking this whole time. And so I knew I was like, it's going to make over 100 million the first opening weekend, and so that's holding. And so I win that bet. Now for Supergirl next summer, we'll see, we'll see what happens with Supergirl. But this is straight out of the comic book right here. Even being disrespectful, she was pretty much a jerk in the beginning of that comic. Let's see what we got in the chat here. Let's see, UK. So UK has seats available all day, but according to the numbers, it's on page. I think it may be tracking a little bit behind Matt Reeves' Batman. I think in the UK. I just had that article. Hold on, because I know people just like to just say general stuff, but let's double check here. UK. Oh yeah, it's actually tracking behind Matt Reeves' Batman, so it may be a tad behind in UK. Yeah, but it's pretty much going to get that. International box office feeds into a bigger number, so you can fail in UK, but there's other markets. You know what I mean? As long as domestic has the numbers, and that 120 number is pretty good. Yeah, just in case people don't understand how international box office works. Well, she had to call him a beyond. I mean, yeah, I agree. That's extra. That is extra. That's extra. Yeah, I agree. It didn't like upset me. It was more like, okay, the first time I saw this scene, and you see how Crypto, he just slammed her on the floor and she's laughing. And it's like, okay, that's why Crypto's unruly, because his true owner, Kara, is obnoxious herself. So that paid off as well. And he's gonna walk right into Woman of Tomorrow story, right? But let's see, the first watch, I think both watches, it didn't get like a huge response when she was like Beyond. It didn't get like a huge response. It was just like, okay, are we supposed to like this character? That's probably what the general audience is like. Okay, that's your cousin, and she's a jerk. Okay, that's a setup. Supergirl setup. So she's gonna have some type of character arc. They do got to be careful with that too. Like, this is your protagonist in a Supergirl film named Supergirl. If you like Superman, you're like, why is your cousin a jerk? Like, maybe I don't like your cousin. That's not the best setup if you look at it from that perspective, but that's the character in that comic. She's a teenager. No, it's projected to do 100 million overseas. So that's I don't know about you, but 100 million isn't dying. It's just pacing just behind Matt Reeves' Batman. Go back to my box office segment. If you want to understand the numbers, if you don't want to understand the numbers, that's okay. You're just going to say whatever you want to say at this point. So it doesn't matter. No one's counting on France for this film. Like, Matt Reeves' Batman for France. I mean, I don't know what they get. About 10, 15 million. That's not going to make or break this film. Matt Reeves' Batman got like 15 million from France. I mean, I don't. That really doesn't matter. To be quite honest, I'm not saying the country doesn't matter. I'm saying if your point is Superman's not going to do good because of France, I think they'll survive. I think they'll survive. I'm just saying. I thought it was hilarious. Yeah, that little bit, it was cool. It was nice to see her. I was like, oh, okay, there's Kara Zor-El. She's drunk, obviously. She said they moved the door and they didn't. They didn't move the entrance. She just was drunk. Um, and she has a backstory why she gets drunk, why she appears to be irresponsible. That will be brought up in her film. Dude saying, if it feels that France is over, DOA. Meanwhile, it's getting 120 domestic. Now domestic box office doesn't matter to people. This is amazing. It's amazing, man. Yeah, he got his band in there. That was funny. Last minute comments or questions. Throw it in the chat as we wind this down. That was full spoiler. Some points that I wanted to kind of get into, especially that Jor-El thing. People really was talking about that overall. Yeah, I keep seeing this whole thing about Fran. Like, do y'all, I understand. People, I understand. They don't know really how box office works. That's what I've learned. So I'm just gonna put out the information. Those that appreciates it, oh well. If not, oh well. Whatever. Kara isn't a Boy Scout. No, she definitely isn't. And I hope they lean into that anger thing because I've been saying this too, and this is just my hopes of the character. No matter what Supergirl we was going to get, I was hoping she would lean towards that Red Lantern Supergirl. I thought that would be pretty cool if it leaned into that. But we'll see because she gets that Red Lantern ring in New 52, I believe. And yeah, it'll be nice to see that. Let's see. All right. Yeah, New 52. Yeah, Red Lantern. I would love for that. Do you see Gunn setting up Reign of Superman? So this is what I would say. Now again, I mean, this is probably like take it with a grain of salt type thing. All right, but supposedly Gunn wants to eventually do his own Death of Superman. We'll just see because with Gunn, it's hard to talk about future plans with Gunn because he kind of just pivots on the fly. He's like, no, maybe I was thinking about it. Now I'm not doing it. So it's like you don't want to get too far ahead of Gunn. But he definitely this is him building up his Superman because he wants to do his own Doomsday in like the middle of his story. But I mean, you got to get, first this film, these projections have to hold for this film. You got to get through this. This ain't like a first chapter type thing, right? But he wants to build up Superman. If his JL crossover works, we're talking like 2031, then he'll probably do that Death of Superman. So we're too early with Gunn. I'm gonna kind of just keep things close to like production level information because stuff in development it changes all the time with Gunn. It's impossible for a lot of these stories to hit. I mean, the George Clooney story I put out, that was a Gunn decision in the Flash film because it was production related. So, I was able to get information on that. Stuff that's not even planning to shoot yet, it's really hard to get ahead of them. So, but if we get to that point where you get the Justice League team up and it's successful, this first chapter of DCU successful, so you're talking about like a 6-year stretch here, then that's when he'll probably do his Death of Superman. So we'll see. Good question though. Yeah, I thought that was Lady Gaga too when I first saw it, but it's some actress. Yeah, it's some other actress, but or as you got Zor-El, as people call him, Zor Diddy. Oh man. And the mama was like, go and get that harem, boy. Drunk Supergirl and Lobo. Yeah, I wonder how they're gonna play that off. Like I said, Supergirl. I forgot about that ingredient. Yeah, Jason Momoa and Supergirl. So Supergirl's gonna do just as much as Superman does. So if Superman's doing 120, trying to get to that 700 million mark, we'll see. I think Supergirl will do the same, or maybe a tad under it if Superman really holds well. We will see. Yeah, Gunn's always flip flopping. So, like I said on the Superman channel, we just cover kind of the links in the description. We just cover more of the news and stuff that's actually out there. Join my Patreon. I'll have like production type stuff with DC and all CBM film geek and news. This past week, I want to apologize to the patrons because I was basically this was kind of like a Superman week of coverage, so I hadn't had time to do anything else really after my day job and things like that. Next week we'll get back to normal, where we're going to have members videos over here, basically exclusive live streams or exclusive first looks over here for current news and what I'm hearing. Then Patreon, links in the description. That's a separate platform where my exclusives and things I put over there for the Patreon. So we're going to pick that back up. This was the week to cover Superman because that's in the news. So that's what we're talking about. This is a pretty big release for DC, for films, for Warner Brothers, Discovery overall. So we're going to cap this week of Superman coverage off. Monday morning, we're going to have the real numbers for the box office. How much did it really succeed? We're going to have some international numbers. And then we're going to see what it really does, because it's about results only. I've been hearing too much talk, too much people just saying stuff just for their agenda. I'm pretty burned out on that, but I want to come here and just present, the information. No agenda, no matter what. The Superman. If you're doing Death of Superman, you know what that means, right? I hope. I hope you know what that means. If you do Death of Superman, I want to feel you know what that means. Yeah, this is a good time if you do have a super chat. Let's see, we got Flycam. Appreciate your support of the platform. We'll throw this up here. Yes, we just did our full spoiler. I got like 10 minutes or less. So definitely throw in your last comments or questions as we wind this down. Do you think we'll actually have two Batman at once? Any chance Pattinson joins DCU? Do you think Fantastic Four crosses 700 million? So it's like 5 questions. No, I'm just playing. But I appreciate your support. First off, and like I said, I'm looking forward to, again, any notable DC stuff. We're going to be here live, and CBM stuff, I mixed that in as well too. So, will we have two Batman at once? Yes. Matt Reeves' Batman, he has a trilogy in mind for his films, and then he has an end point. That's what I want to say with Reeves. He has an end point in mind. So he could write this off with the second film. He may have already written the end of this corner of his Batman, or he's setting up that third film. We'll see. The script is done. I'm looking forward to this. Is your alternate Batman. This is your alternate world. If you thought, it's too many jokes in Gunn's DC films, well, Reeves is a little more serious for you. All right. So DC universe is vast. You can do all these different takes, right? So he has an end game in mind. They still have some spinoffs. I think it's going to be a trilogy because they have some spinoffs still in mind for the Crime Saga world, not just Penguin. They got other stuff in mind, other series and stuff like that. So I would like for Reeves' verse to breathe, overall, and get his 2 more films in there, get the spinoffs. But then DCU, yes, DCU is going to have its own Batman. And if they're smart, they'll make sure this Batman is Alan Richardson. We don't know yet. We don't know. I'm terrible with casting. I reported because I heard last summer Alan Ritchson was campaigning pretty hard to be Batman of the DCU. And they passed over who's the Soldier Boy? Jensen Ackles. Jensen Ackles wanted to be DCU Batman, and I was told they passed over him. And at the same time, I heard Alan Ritchson was campaigning pretty hard. So take that for what you will. That was last summer. Nothing's been said since then. Nothing's confirmed. They're all indications they're going to cast a new Batman. They're going to cast a new Batman, and so you're going to have two at once. The long-winded version of answering that question. We will see. We'll see how that comes together. Any chance Pattinson joins DCU? No, I don't see any chance on that. If Reeves wanted to do that, he would have decided that before he wrote this script. Reeves would have because in Reeves' contract he could either fold it in or or however it was his decision. He decided not to do it. He has an end game for his character, and then Reeves is going to be producing DC stuff with Gunn and Safran. So they're going to work together as well. They're already both producing the dynamic duo animated film, the Robin film. They're already co-producing the Clayface film, which is in the DCU. So Reeves is going to be doing DC for some time. And like I said, he has his own take. He wants to finish that story. Then he's going to be working with Gunn. So, and do you think Fantastic Four crosses 700 million? Well, we're seeing a blueprint right now. What Superman's doing right now with the front-loaded opening, that means that's a lot of money. 120 domestic. They're hoping like 220 or higher global opening for Superman. Good cinema score, A- cinema score, meaning enough people, going to have the word of mouth. That's what Fantastic Four needs. I like how Fantastic Four has been looking with the trailers and everything. I'm looking forward to seeing it. I'm gonna see it probably next with the Thursday of Thursday preview. So I'm looking forward. Marvel needs a hit. Marvel really needs this to hit. And so if it follows what Superman is doing at this point, then I think it can, get his number. With Marvel, you got to have that strong opening weekend, like 120 plus. So that's how I will answer that. Fly Cam is that if Fantastic Four has an opening like Superman, then I think Fantastic Four will get definitely over 700 million. So, and again, appreciate your support. We'll see if any other super chats pop up as we start winding this down. But this is a drop. Thank you. As I said, as I wind this down, this was a week full of Superman coverage. The non-spoiler, mild spoiler, now full spoilers. Now it's about box office. How's it going to perform? Results only. Results only. I see just so much this talk. What are the numbers? What is it going to do? Right? And again, continue to resist the uninformed. It's amazing the culture of social media right now. But that's why we just jump in here and we discuss what's actually being said. So, let's see here. We will have a great indication tomorrow, but Monday we'll have the numbers pretty much cemented. But let me see if something popped up yet, because we're still waiting on the Saturday numbers. And I don't think we officially got those yet. Yeah, I don't think we got those yet. So let's see here. I got one article here. Let me take a couple minutes. Hilarious. let me highlight this. Just let me take like 2 minutes. But this is the latest article that I'm seeing out there about the box office. Let's see. And then we're gonna close this down. This was probably like 30 minutes ago. So pretty much during my stream, I think this article dropped. And they're saying, again, this is forecasting. 115 to 120 domestic opening. So that's pretty much that 120 mark, over 100 million. So I win my bet with that. Let's say, appears to be succeeding in rebooting both Warner Brothers' own DC and his most prized comic book film franchise. I mean, this was very important. This was a very important film. Let's see, 115 is not 145. Yeah, that's true. I don't know the importance of that, but yeah, that's true. Those are two different numbers. Thanks for clarifying that. You lunch on me? I won the bet. Ain't lunch on me. But this was huge, though. Like I said, just in general for DC fans, for Superman purists. Yeah, the long-term projections are always overbloated. Yeah, we discussed that earlier. So I'll tell you, they are happy with this number if this holds. They are definitely happy with this number, and this may be that new era, like I said, and this. If the audience score, if the reaction is what it is and is holding, this is what there's an audience for this. So they're just talking about the preview numbers again. So we knew about that. The global number, that 96.5 million, as of yesterday for the global number. So nothing really new in this one. Let's see. Yeah. So nothing really new here. I mean, it's tracking well. We don't have the Saturday number yet, though. So that is that. Oh, okay. I got you, Carlos. Okay. Oh, man. Very interesting week. Like I said, with Superman, with Warner Brothers overall. So I'm going to go ahead and slide on out of here. Appreciate the reactions and responses. Again, after Monday Coffee Talk, then it's going to be more content, spread it out. It will be some morning streams. Again, overall, I cover all CBM geek news, especially if it's a notable DC topic. And this is Superman. So we're going to continue to cover this and news with that. But then we sprinkle in other stuff, Marvel, Star Wars, things like that. I have different guests. We have different uploaded conversations. So we're going to get, pretty active, not just Superman going forward. But if there's a DC story, I'm definitely going to be live about it. If it's notable, for sure. Appreciate, again, all of the responses, the opinions. This is what, I always try to champion as far as on my platform. Again, just what I don't accept is uninformed comments and just putting out information that's just not true and things like that. I don't go around policing people online, what they should say and things like that. But when you bring it to my timeline, I got to correct it because it's just, I've been trained by the best, I guess I should say, with that, as far as just the information and what I put out. So hopefully that makes sense to everyone there. Appreciate the support as well. Inflation. Hey, people got some stocks or something. I think that's what it is. They're all stocks holders of Warner Brothers. Monday morning stream. Yes, Maria. We're going to cover the final numbers of James Gunn's Superman. So we'll see what it really does. Much love to Syl Nation. Resist the uninformed. We out.
Watchmen forever vigilant, steady watching and listening, disciplined, militant, killing these dudes that started visiting. What's the latest word, yo Syl? We need to know. Tell us what you heard, yo Syl. We need to know the ins and outs. Who's walking out, buying in? We need to know your thoughts on what you do to stream a hell of a show. Let's go. One hell of a show. Let's go. Let's go.